Hi babe, welcome. So I have compiled all my number braid tutorials into one so that it's going to be compact, summarized, but very clear. Please do not skip the ads as you watch this video because I promise you will get whatever you are looking for from here. So we are going to start with number 0, then 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9. So let's start. So to braid 0, once you have the section you want 0 to fit in, it can be a rectangle, it can be like a round shape. So you part out either a rectangle or a round shape and share it into 2 equal parts from top to bottom, just as I have done. Now we are going to start from one of the halves and start braiding round. So if you have a rectangle section in the hairstyle as the design part, then just share that into 2. But if you want to incorporate it into the hair, you can part like a round shape first and then share that round shape into 2. Start braiding from one half. Once you get to the bottom, you turn. Don't try to braid into the pointy part of the rectangle, just turn around so that it will curve nicely, and then keep braiding upwards. When you get to the end of here, you have to braid the tail all the way. Now if you want to incorporate this into a braided design or into the rest of your braids, you would use a latch hook first and pass the tail of the braid through where you started braiding before adding the tail of the braid into your hairstyle. But if you want to sew it on like this, you can just sew the tail onto the braid you have done before, just as I am doing. If you're going to be using studs, those clips, the ones I will use in designing my hair later, if you're going to use that, then just clasp that design, use it to hold the 2 braids together so that it can just slap over it. If not, then you have to sew it this way. When sewing, try to make your thread invisible as much as you can, and then if you notice any irregularity, you can just customize where you place the tail. If you look closely, you'll see that when I started sewing, I was sewing on top, but when I got to this rounded corner, I laid the braid next to the previous braid so that it will make that place look wider. Okay, so just customize it to look as best as you can, like tweak it if you have to. So let's move to number 1. Number 1 is the simplest of every letter. Of course, you just have to section off a straight rectangular part and a slim rectangle and braid from top to bottom. If you want, you can fold over the tail of the braid and sew it on top of the one you just plaited, the cornrow part you just made, or you can incorporate the tail of this braid into your hairstyle. Let's say you're making all back or ponytail, just incorporate the tail. And I used this 0, 1 and 2 to demonstrate how to braid 2021 this year. So if you want to see that tutorial, I will have it linked at the end of this video. So let's move to number 2. So let's assume you have a rectangle or a space where you want to braid number 2 into. You're going to share that space 2 to 1. So I shared it into 3 first, mixed 2 together and left 1 part. So the top part is ratio 2 and the lower part is ratio 1, so 2 to 1, and then you share all of them into 2 equal halves, just like this. So that section you want your 2 to fit in, share it into 3, mix the 2 parts on top together to give you a ratio of 2 and then 1 ratio down. Now share in the middle. We are going to start braiding from is it left or right? But you understand what I am doing now. I just turned the mannequin. So from the top part of number 2, we start braiding from the top of number 2, and now I am braiding the lower belly part of number 2. We are going to braid it downwards into that lower half, the ratio of 1. So I just braided that ratio of 2 and now we are braiding it. Make sure you try to come in through that angle, okay, where the two rectangles meet there. Then braid all the way down before turning around and braiding backwards, just like this, so that your two will look really pretty. If you are more of a visual learner, just mute my voice at this point and replay the video in case I am making it more confusing. But if you rewatch it, you understand. Once you've watched it to the end and watched it the second time, then everything will be very clear. So I started braiding from the beginning of 2 upwards, went around the curve and then down. So this is the 2020 I made then. Moving on to number 3. I'm going to show 2 instances where I am braiding 3 inside a box. That's the first one on your left, and where we actually parted number 3 on the hair. So we are starting with where we braided 3 into a box as part of the hairstyle. You know, like when you just section a rectangle, like a space on the hair for your hair design. That's this case. So I have my rectangle. Now I am going to share this rectangle into 2 equal halves. Okay, take the top section and share it diagonally. Yes, across. What? From the top left to from the top right to bottom left, just like that. Okay, now we are going to braid from the top one, moving inwards. Make sure you braid all the way to the very end of this line, and try to make it, anyway, if you make it pointed, it's another front. If it's curved, it's still number 3. If you make it pointed, it's number 3 but in a different font. So remember, we parted this top section diagonally, but the bottom section we are going to part across in the middle. Okay, so from right to left, straight, not diagonally this time, just from left to right across. So we are going to braid back just as I am doing. Curve your hand here and braid back to the beginning. Okay, so there, so easy. Right? I hope you're not skipping the ads as you're watching this video. Please don't skip the ads. That's the only way I can make money. And tell me which number is your favorite. Tell me the number that brought you to this channel or that landed you on this video. What number were you trying to braid? Was it for a birthday, anniversary? Just leave a comment. I will feel like it feels amazing to know that people actually appreciate or like what I am doing, and then it helps my channel because it counts as engagement. If you have a better idea and easier way, you can leave a comment or just share with others, you know. So the only difference between this and the first one is that instead of making like a box to braid the hair in, I braided the outer part. Instead of being a rectangle, the outer part is the shape of 3. Okay, so this is where like the hairstyle doesn't have an allocated space for the hair design or the braided number to be in. The hairstyle, the design is part of the hairstyle. So if I were to be braiding a ponytail, I would just make my sections either touching 3 or passing close to 3. Okay, so that's the difference. It's just that the outer section is curved to be like 3 instead of a straight box. You get? So I actually have a number 13 birthday I made for a client. I braided number 13 on her hair. If you want to see that one, just to see what it will look like when incorporated into a hairstyle, you can have that. I have braided number 4 on my niece's hair because she was 4 years when she came to visit me. I braided number 7 on my sister's hair because it was 7th December on that day when we were making that tutorial. What other number? Okay, I think that's all. That's the numbers that I have made a complete hairstyle around. So this is what I came up with. You can accessorize it. See, whatever makes it look better, you do so. Now to number 4. Again, this time around I'm not making it into a box. So this is the first base of number 4, and now I am going to make like a rectangular shape, small, for the base of number 4. This is part of the number. So for the bottom line under number 4, this is it. Remember number 4, like in some fonts when you write number 4, you go from up to your left, then slide down. Sometimes you can slide a little behind where number 4 stopped, or if you choose not to. So I am making like that. Is it isosceles triangle? What's the type of triangle in 4? I have completed the triangle in number 4. That is it. Then this lower braid is the tail, and then that other tiny this thing is the extension that hangs outside. Like when we are done, you will see. So I separated that triangle into 2 and start braiding from that extra adage, that appendix at the that goes a little bit outside number 4. So I braid all the way to the beginning of the triangle. I start braiding up on the triangle. Then try to make sure you see the way I sectioned the little hair to help me get to the tip to the tippy top of number 4 before facing downwards and coming all the way down. You can stop exactly at this point. There are some number 4 like that. Some number 4 have an extension coming downwards. That was what I was thinking at that moment, so I just extended it a little. So at this point you can just let it dangle and add beads as part of your hairstyle. Let's say you're making like an all back or whatever, you can just let add beads there. If not, you can sew it onto the hair or you can incorporate it into your braid. So I just accessorize it with these golden clasps. This is the clasp I was talking about when I was braiding 0. So if I were to lay this braid back upwards, I would use the clasp to just hold the 2 of them together. So now to number 5. For number 5, let's start with the top bar. Okay, that first layer of number 5. So I sectioned that off, and it's about, no, let's use a box so that I can easily tell you the size I am using. No, okay, so the first layer is a little bit less than 1/3, but it's more than 1/4. Then after sectioning out, then you section off the next layer. That next layer is a little bit bigger than the first one, but instead of making the line straight, I slanted it so that it gets bigger a little towards my right. And then now for the belly of number 5, I curved it out like you see. So this, when braiding this and you get to the tummy area of number 5, you can braid this top bar as you want. But when braiding the tummy, try to move your braids towards, as if you're making like a brush, towards the outer layer of number 5, so that you have as much space as possible inside the stomach. Inside the stomach is where my left hand is now. So just braid it that way and it's easy. So you see the first line I made is small. That first section is small, the second section is bigger, and the last section is biggest. So there are 3 different sizes. The top is smaller. I don't know how to ratio. It's like 1 to 2 to 3. Just you get the gist. So over to number 6, you're going to section out a circle or a round shape. What is the difference between a circle and a 0? How is 0? Is 0? See, just don't make it too slim and long. Okay, just make like a round shape. Now we are going to shear off like it's into 3 equal space. So section off the first side, making it curved upwards like that, just a little. You see that small curve, just a little. And then for the lower part, you make it straight. The first line is a little bit curved towards the top, then the second one is straight. Now for that middle section, just cut off that small part so that your 6 can pass through there. And then we are going to start from the side that goes to the tummy, inside the tummy of number 6. That's small. No, we're starting from the top, sorry, from the very top of number 6. We start braiding from there. Braid faster, baby. So whenever you're braiding a rounded section, try to move your hand towards the outer section of the rounded so that it will form like a little brush on the inner part. Okay, so you see that section I cut off in the middle, then at the beginning of the middle, it helped me to pass just as you saw me do now, so that I can cut across the middle section. Now try and brush. You see the way I'm moving the head downwards while braiding, so that the middle section will be like a brush. So braid on the outer part of, like towards the scalp, the outer section, and turn. Try to make it rounded, okay? Try to make it rounded, because this is the tummy. This is the tummy section. It should be rounded nicely. If not, your 6 is going to look hungry, and a 6 that looks hungry can be confused for many other things. So once you are done, if I were to incorporate this into the rest of my braid, I would use a latch hook exactly where I am and pass the tail of the braid underneath where it's lying over and incorporate it into the braid. But since I want to sew it, or I use my this thing to just attach it there, fine. If you want to sew, you would repeat exactly what I did with your needle and thread. Over to number 7, which I think after number 1 is the next easiest one. Do you think so? Which number do you think is the easiest after 1? Okay, maybe 0. Anyway, I am making exactly number 7 shape with a little bend at the beginning. I think this is just a different font. If your number 7 doesn't have that small bend at the beginning, it doesn't matter. And then some number 7s are also crossed. If you want to see the number 7 that has like a bar running across it, like a letter T, a small letter T, that kind of bar, the number 7 tutorial I made on my sister's hair. In short, I made 3 different types of 7s there, like the normal one, the one with a little bar at the beginning, and one with a bar cutting across the middle. So you start braiding from that tiny bar at the beginning, braid it upwards. When I got to the top, then I just braided straight across for the top of number 7. When I got to the end of the road, I then braided it down. This one was pretty simple, but just try to make sure you get to the end. Like when you're trying to make a pointy spot on your number, try to make sure it is pointy. Like get to the end of the braid before you turn. And if you're trying to make a rounded shape, try to make sure it is well rounded. Like start curving your hands as you're approaching the bend, okay? So for this one, I just left it. You see, if the tail was incorporated into a hair design, it would have come out perfectly. So now for number 8, you're going to draw 2 circles on top of each other, just like this. Something I noticed, you see my number 8 is looking slim and tall. Yeah, I think number 8 is finer when it is kind of short and fat. That's just my opinion. It will make it obviously 8. But if you have this slim and tall 8, it can just blend into the hair easily and not stand out. So make 2 short fat circles on top of each other, and then when you are done, we are going to make a line running through both of the circles from the top to the bottom. So while we do that, I'll just give you that gist. I have tutorials of all the alphabets, English alphabets, from A, B, C, D all the way to Z. I don't know if you would want to see a bunched up, like a compilation video of all the letters. That's going to be a lot to make. Or maybe I can mix maybe 10 letters, then 16, or 8, 8, 8, 8, 16, 24. Or just something like that. If anyone would be interested, let me know. Or you would prefer to just watch each alphabet as the video is. If I get enough feedback on that, then I can do whatever you people want. So you saw the way I step braiding from top right, like an S. You know the way number 8, just the same way you write number 8, that's the way you braid. All the while I've been saying use a crochet to pass the braid underneath the braid. This is what I mean. So it will help it stay in place and it will complete the alphabet. Now you can either sew on this tail of the braid I am finishing onto the hair. You can use a stud, or you can just drag it into another braid around the environs, making sure it doesn't alter the shape of the 8. Now if you drag it in, another way to make your number stand out is now to accessorize the hair and stop where it stops without following the tail of the braid, okay? So this is our number 8, our slim and tall number 8. Now for number 9, if you can braid number 9, you can braid letter P, You can braid. I don't know whatever less looks nice. So some other shapes I have braided on my channel are braided hearts, like different types of hearts, braided butterfly, people love that video, braided bow, braided star, braided crown, like a tiara shape, just a crown shape. I have made lots of braided designs on my channel, so feel free to check them out and just make your child's hair or your niece's hair or your client's hair more fun, and remember to share with people that like it. So for number 9, you saw I made the round belly part and then the straight part, and the lower leg or the handle of number 9 goes down. So I made a circle first, and then I sliced off one part of the circle so that it would give me that shape. And now I am making the handle part of number 9. Then going from that handle part, you're going to make a line straight up, as you will see very soon. Make a line straight up, and then you're going to shear the tummy into 2, just like this. Completo. Now we are going to start braiding from the lower tummy, from the lower part of the tummy of number 9. Yeah, so you're just going to braid and curve upwards. Remember to round it out so that it's going to be a nice belly, like a pregnant, beautifully pregnant number 9, like a pompous, well-fed number 9. Okay, so as I braid it upwards, try to make sure you get into the corner, and then you're going to braid down. Now something interesting, when you're braiding down and you get to that middle section where you started the whole braid of number 9, you're going to pinch a little hair from there. I used a latch hook to latch on a little hair from here into that section, and then brought it back and braided it into what I was braiding. This was just to eliminate the demarcation between here and between where I started the braid and this one running down. So instead of seeing the scarf there, you have hair running over it. So someone looking at it might just make it confusing to figure out where you started braiding number 9 from. Okay, so I used the latch hook, attached it to the beginning and brought it back, so it covered that shiny part of the scalp and made it dark colored because the hair is now just over it. So that's going to make the number 9 look more defined. You see, instead of having a space in between here and where the braid started, the number 9 looks more solid. So now if you want to braid like 2022 or 95 or 70, whatever, you are covered. If you want to braid 1987, 64, 325, you are covered. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a thumbs up. As for accessorizing your hair, you can use strings, like those strings for accessorizing cornrow. I have a tutorial where I explain different ways you can use those string designs or use beads. If you don't know how to accessorize your hair further, I have a lot of videos that will help you. Thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day or night. Bye.